Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about how you can pass your theory test first time. I passed my theory test first time, so hopefully these tips will give you a little bit of help. I think a lot of people underestimate the theory test, and a lot of people think it's easy and that you don't actually need to do any revision for it. But having sat the theory test myself and done loads and loads of past tests, you do actually need to do a little bit of revision for it. I mean, most of it is common sense, most of it you already know, but there are some things that without reading the book or doing previous tests you wouldn't have known the answer to. There are a few technical questions in there, and the technical questions are mainly to do with the car itself, so maybe questions about the car's engine or about brake fluid or engine oil, and that kind of stuff, and that kind of technical side of things you might not know if you're not very familiar with the ins and outs of the car, which is why you do need to sort of revise the technical side of things. Another thing is you do need to read the highway code, because the highway code will tell you how to the rules of the road, sort of regarding cyclists, pedestrians and other road users like motorcyclists and obviously cars as well. So you definitely need to read the highway code. And also another thing that's really helpful that you can find online is, I'll try and link it in the description below. I think it's a PDF or a document where the DSA's just published like every single road sign there is. So all of the road signs, it would be really useful for you to revise that and memorise them, because on your test they can just throw up any random road sign and you're expected to know it. So yeah, just make sure you do all of those and you have them all really clear in your head. I mean, most of them are really self-explanatory, but there are a few ones which you would need to have a couple of looks at before you know what they are. I would say that the best method of revision is just doing mock tests. There's a website called Theory Test Pro, again I'll link it in the description. That was the website that I found the most useful for revising for my theory test. Okay, you can buy official books and CDs from the DSA, and they are good. I used the books alongside the Theory Test Pro website, but I definitely think if you have only the Theory Test Pro website, that will be more than enough for you. I think the Theory Test Pro website does charge, but since my driving school have some kind of deal with them, I get it for free. So I pay for my driving lessons and I get the Theory Test Pro for free. So that's a really good deal. If you're not sure if your driving school has any kind of deal with it, you just feel free to ask your instructor, because they might do, you never know. But yeah, I really recommend the Theory Test Pro website. It has a huge bank of loads and loads and loads of mock questions, past questions, and it's so helpful, because I think that about 75 to 80% of the questions that are on those mock questions, those are the questions that you're going to be asked in the actual test when it comes to it. And approximately about 15 to 20% you won't have seen before. But the thing is here, if you're sure about that 85% when it comes to your real test, you will have already pretty much passed. Just about. So yeah, definitely familiarise yourself with the Theory Test Pro website. I think there is a small fee, but I think it's definitely worth it. And I think if you're trying to choose between subscribing to the website or buying some books, I think you should definitely choose the website. And also it's a little bit more, it gives you a bit more of a feel of what it will actually be like on the day of your test, because obviously at the end of the day your test is going to be on the computer. So if you've already got a lot of experience, with, I know it sounds really silly, but it's sort of the layout of the screen and sort of where you're meant to be clicking, and like like where the question is, where the answers are, that kind of thing. I think it's really great to familiarise yourself with the website. The other great thing about Theory Test Pro is that it has a multiple choice part, and it also has a hazard perception part. So in the hazard perception part, there's a bank of loads and loads of clips that you can watch, sort of like 1 to 2 minute videos, and it gives you just practice, like when to click the mouse when you see an approaching hazard. A tip that I would give you when you're doing your theory test, the hazard perception part, is I would click quite early, so like I would click quite in advance, like before you actually see the hazard, because say for example you're travelling down a narrow country road and it's kind of just like a bendy country road, and as you go around a bend, that's the point that I would click, because you don't know what's going to be zooming around that corner. I would click well in advance, because the most likely thing that's going to happen is that you're going to be going around the bend and something will fly at you, either a motorcyclist or a cyclist or another car. It will just be flying at you. So I think if you get that click in early, then you're kind of covered. And also, as you're making your way around the bend, I would click maybe another once or another twice until you actually see the hazard. There is an issue with if you click too often and then it can show up an error message. That's never actually happened to me, and I think that it's only if you do it quite excessively that happens. So you don't want to be clicking in any kind of pattern, so you don't want to just be clicking like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't want to be clicking like that. But if you do click sensibly, and you know your clicks are quite, there's no kind of pattern to it, then you should be okay. I've never personally had that problem with mine, but I know that a few people have. Another thing to mention is that in, I think, 2 of the clips, there's 2 hazards. So in 2 of the clips you need to look out for 2 different hazards. And another thing is, in the clips, there's not only just one hazard, there are loads of things which are potential hazards. So say for example there's a clip of you just driving in town, there'll be people crossing the streets, there'll be cars coming your way, you know, there'll be a car reversing in front of you. They're all hazards, but you only really need to try and focus on the ones which are going to make you have to stop or change direction or sort of, you know, slow down, or those are hazards which are going to make you have an impact on you. So if you kind of see, like, if you're just driving down and you see like people crossing way ahead of you, then you don't really need to worry too much about that, because it's not actually affecting you. In terms of revision, like I said before, I think a lot of people underestimate the theory test and they just maybe revise the night before or a few days before. Before I passed my theory test, I revised about 30 minutes to an hour, sort of 2 or 3 weeks leading up to the theory test. And I know that sounds like quite a lot, but I felt like I needed the practice. And okay, fair enough, some people might not need that much, but I'm quite an inexperienced driver. You know, I've only been driving for a few months now, so I felt like I needed that experience. So I'll say that if you're quite a younger type of person and you've only just started your driving, I would say definitely don't underestimate the revision part of the theory test. I would say definitely just make sure that you do get your revision in. So the pass rate for the multiple choice part of the test is 43 out of 50. Now, as you're doing all your mock tests, and before you get to your actual test, I think that you should be hitting around 46 to 47 to, you know, make sure that you're gonna be okay on the actual test day. If you're getting around 43 on just the mock test, I don't think that's going to be sufficient enough for your actual test, because like I said, when you get to your actual test, there are going to be questions that you haven't seen before, because the DSA, they don't publish all of the questions, otherwise that would be a little bit like unfair, because obviously we'd know them all. So once you actually get into the test centre, there will be questions that you haven't seen before, but if you've revised properly enough, the questions that you've already seen before should make up for the ones that you don't know. So yeah guys, I mean, I hope that helped you to know what to do to make sure that you do pass your theory test first time. The main things that I can say is just make sure that you do enough revision, make sure that you have a look at Theory Test Pro, make sure that you read the highway code and familiarise yourself with the road signs and everything like that. And yeah, just do loads and loads of mock tests to understand what the layout is going to be on the actual day. But yeah guys, I mean, best of luck to you. I'm sure you'll do really good. But yeah guys, thanks a lot for watching.